My husband's parents come to stay at our house once a month. I want to invite my parents too.
No way.
My parents are not allowed, but his are? How selfish can he be? This is my house too. I reached my breaking point and decided to get back at my husband in a certain way. My name is Emma. I'm 30 years old. I married Jackson 5 years ago, and we have a daughter, Sophia, who's almost 3. 6 months ago, our dream home was completed. We moved in smoothly, and our new life began. But
my mom and dad are coming again starting tomorrow.
What? Again? They were here last month. That's 5 months in a row, isn't it? My husband calmly responded to my complaint.
So what? We have a guest room in this house. What's the problem?
But do I have to prepare everything again?
Of course. Emma, you work from home, so it's like you're not working at all.
Not working? Since our new house was built, my in-laws have been coming to stay once a month. I was not happy about it. At first, my husband invited them because he wanted them to see our place. I didn't mind that, but since then, it had become a regular thing for them to stay every month, and they stay for at least a week, sometimes nearly half a month. The most troublesome part of their visits is the meals. Although they're my in-laws, it's no different from having guests over. I clean the house the day before, plan the meals, and it's a lot of work. What should I make? What do I need to prepare? When I ask my husband, he just dismisses it with,
anything's fine.
My mother-in-law especially was picky and often left food uneaten. If they don't like the meal, my husband would complain and say,
it's your fault.
And it's not just the meals. I have to prepare the beds too. I'm usually only told about their visits 2 days in advance. This had been going on for about 6 months, and I was mentally exhausted. The next day, as usual, my father-in-law Richard and mother-in-law Helen arrived without resistance. Hello, Richard, Helen.
Hi, Emma.
Emma, is the room ready? Yes, it's ready, the usual guest room.
I'm tired, so I'm gonna take a nap.
Then maybe I'll watch some TV. As soon as they arrived, my in-laws started doing as they pleased. I couldn't relax. I felt uncomfortable at home, so I went to pick up Sophia a little early. I finished preparing for dinner and was about to leave when my mother-in-law, who was watching TV, came into the kitchen. Emma, I hope you're not making lasagna for dinner. That's what I'm making. You never change, do you? I hate lasagna. What? I didn't know that. But when I asked about your dislikes before, lasagna wasn't on the list.
That was then. I just didn't think of it at that time. You really don't pay attention, do you?
My mother-in-law made a clear face of disgust, said,
just make something else,
and went back to lying on the couch. What's with her? If she hated it, why didn't she tell me in advance? Why would she have to tell me right before it's ready? Making a separate dish just for her now was super inconvenient. But if I didn't do as my mother-in-law said, she'd complain to my husband and then he'd complain to me. Reluctantly, I stopped by the grocery store while picking up my daughter and bought ingredients to make a special soup just for my mother-in-law. Even when my daughter came home, my in-laws didn't show any affection for their granddaughter. Instead, they treated her rudely, saying,
move it.
Get out of the way. Grandma, will you read me this?
Oh, Grandpa's busy right now.
Grandma is busy too. Go away, will you? They must not find their granddaughter cute, as they ignored her even when she brought a picture book. My daughter gradually gave up on interacting with her grandparents and came to me. Mom, Grandpa and Grandma are scary. I'm sorry, Sophia. Just bear with it a little longer. And this was just the first day. This continued for another 2 weeks. I can't endure this life any longer. Even my daughter dislikes it. I'll go crazy if this continues. After my husband came home, I poured out my true feelings to him. Jackson, I'm sorry, but can we make Richard and Helen's visits like once every 6 months?
Huh? Why?
Once a month is just too frequent. I have to prepare all the meals and accommodations, and I have work and Sophia to take care of. It's too much. Sophia's scared of your parents, and I'm at my limit. My husband made a clear face of disgust and showed an exasperated attitude, saying, Is that all? Is that all? You don't understand how hard it is, do you? I also have to take care of Sophia. You cook every day, so just make a little more, you know? You take care of Sophia. My parents are tired. What? I'm telling you that Helen's pickiness is a problem. If you say so much, then you do all the housework and childcare, Jackson. Oh, why me? I'm working outside, aren't I? That's a wife's job. What? Anyway, Mom and Dad are looking forward to seeing me, so you just need to take good care of them. Sophia will understand eventually. He casually dismissed me and went back to his room. Left alone, I barely suppressed my anger. What's with him? Why do I have to do everything when his parents come to stay? And he talks as if it's natural for me to do it. I'm not a housekeeper or a servant, you know. Frustrated, I started preparing breakfast for the next day. Then, my mother called. Hello? Mom, what's up? Oh, Emma, can you talk right now? My mother seemed to be in a hurry over the phone. What's the matter? Actually, our house has a leak. It looks like there's going to be a major repair. Can we stay with you for 3 days? What, a leak? That's terrible. It's totally fine for you to stay with us for 3 days. Come over. Really? Thank you. You're a lifesaver. After ending the call, I went to my husband's room to tell him the news. Jackson, can I talk to you for a moment? What is it? My parents are coming to stay with us starting tomorrow. My husband, who was fiddling with his phone, turned to me and exclaimed, What? What do you mean they're coming to stay over and tomorrow? Their house has a leak and the repairs are going to be extensive, so I want them to stay with us for just 3 days. He always lets his own parents stay for a week, so I thought 3 days was nothing. As I was thinking this, unbelievable words came out of my husband's mouth. Come on, give me a break. It's going to be uncomfortable and constraining, so no. What? What did he just say? Uncomfortable and constraining? Who is he to say that? I've been putting up with his parents all this time, haven't I? Stunned by my husband's selfish remark, I somehow managed to find the words. Wait a minute, so it's okay for Richard and Helen to stay, but not my parents? I don't feel uncomfortable around Dad and Mom. Your parents are so square and I can't stand them. No, it's not that my parents are too square. His parents are just too free-spirited. Watching TV while lying on the couch or complaining about my cooking is more absurd. Does he not understand? Anger welled up inside me. Nevertheless, my husband added fuel to the fire. Anyway, 3 days is impossible. Have him stay somewhere else. At that moment, my barely contained anger exploded. I suppressed my body, trembling with anger, and calmly muttered, Oh, I see. Got it. Starting tomorrow, Sophia and I will stay somewhere with my parents. What? My husband asked in surprise. You're joking, right? Joking? You're the one who said to stay somewhere else, right? No, I just said your parents could stay somewhere else. Not you and Sophia, too. Don't say what's convenient for you. Just so you know, we won't be coming home for 3 days. You'll have to take care of meals, baths, and laundry all by yourself. What? You're kidding. Ignoring my desperate husband, I packed our bags. The next day, I explained the situation to my parents and booked a hotel room for the 4 of us. During that time, I received lots of texts from my husband. The frozen curry exploded when I heated it up. What should I do? The bread won't toast in the toaster. Please come back and cook dinner. I was honestly amazed at how much trouble he was having on the first day. He should have just given up and eaten fast food, but he was probably trying to compete. It seemed so ridiculous that I couldn't help but laugh. Of course, I didn't reply to his texts. He should be reflecting a bit and figure things out himself. 3 days later, after seeing my parents off, my daughter and I returned home after a long time. Depending on my husband's attitude, I might forgive him. As I was thinking this, my husband came running from the back of the house making a loud noise. I'm home, I announced, and my husband, his face red, began to yell. Why didn't you reply to any of my texts? You knew I was in trouble, didn't you? Panting, he pressed. Answer me. Hey, answer me. You knew, didn't you? I knew? I responded aggressively. But I told you, didn't I, that you had to take care of everything yourself while I was away?
Don't mess with me, you're my wife. It's your duty to take care of the house.
Despite our daughter being present, my husband continued to rant and rave. As I looked at him, everything began to feel absurd and foolish. My daughter seemed slightly taken aback as she watched my husband yell at me. Sophia's right here, can't you stop? Isn't this all your fault for not allowing my parents to stay for 3 days in the first place?
What? How is this my fault? I just said I didn't want to host your parents, not that you all had to leave. You left on your own. I'm telling Mom about this.
With that, my husband stormed out of the room, still furious. I can't be with this man any longer. I explained the situation to my parents and decided to stay at their house for a while. The next day, after my husband left for work, my daughter and I returned to my parents' home. I left my daughter with them and went to get divorce papers. If my husband had no intention of apologizing, then it was time to seriously consider divorce. I guess he noticed we were gone. Late at night, my husband called. Hello?
Hey, where are you right now?
I calmly replied. At my parents' house, why? My husband became even more furious at that answer.
What? Your parents' house? Don't do things on your own. What about my dinner?
Sorry, but you'll have to make it yourself. More importantly, don't you have something to apologize for?
Apologize for what? There's nothing to apologize for. I have nothing but complaints.
Maybe he'll reflect and apologize. Maybe we can talk about his parents and resolve this. My small hopes were shattered in an instant. I see. You have no intention of apologizing.
Of course not. By the way, Mom and Dad are angry at you too. They're coming to lecture you tomorrow.
Lecture?
They say you're not devoted to me. A woman should be devoted to her family, right? They're going to educate you since you don't seem to understand. Haha.
My husband laughed loudly, happily saying,
It's your fault, you know.
I bluntly told him. All right, then let's divorce.
What? Divorce? You're joking, right?
My husband's voice, sounding utterly dumbfounded, was clearly panicked even over the phone. Why would I joke about something like this? It's clear that we can't understand each other anymore. So let's get divorced.
Don't mess with me. How did it come to this? It's all because you upset me.
Why should I have to please a grown man, especially when we're married? I don't want to be a servant to you or your parents anymore.
Well, wait, divorce is not the answer. Come on, Emma.
He must not have expected me to bring up divorce. My husband was more flustered than ever.
I'll never allow a divorce. If we divorce, this house will be mine, you know.
Go ahead, but you'll have to pay the mortgage. Why not live with your beloved Mom and Dad?
What?
Goodbye then.
Hey, wait, Emma.
I hung up the phone and ignored all subsequent calls and texts. I immediately contacted a lawyer I knew and began preparing for divorce negotiations. My daughter had witnessed plenty of bullying from my husband and in-laws. I had also been reporting the bullying to my parents all along. Thanks to all that, the divorce negotiations proceeded overwhelmingly in my favor.
If it goes to court, you, Mr. Jackson, will be at a significant disadvantage, just so you know.
My husband must have felt the urgency in the lawyer's words. After much reluctance, he signed the divorce papers a month later. My daughter firmly refused to live with my ex-husband, so we decided to live together at my parents' house. I demanded property division, child support, and compensation for emotional distress from my ex-husband. Thanks to my lawyer's expertise, we were able to claim more than the standard amount. My ex-husband's salary isn't that high, so paying child support alone should be a struggle for him. As a result, it seems he had to auction off the newly built house he had just completed.
Emma, I was wrong. Please come back. I won't let Dad and Mom come over anymore, I promise. I can't imagine life without you and Sophia.
I still get texts like these from my ex-husband, making me feel uncomfortable. But of course, I haven't replied to any of them. Once all the payments are settled, I plan to block any further contact from him. My daughter is living her life without much change, but occasionally I regret having taken her father away. Sophia, do you miss your dad?
Nuh-uh. I don't like people who are mean to Mommy.
I see. Thank you, Sophia.
As long as I have you, Mommy, I'm fine.
I'm very fortunate my daughter feels this way. And I'm confident my decision was not wrong. I'll allow myself to rely a little on my supportive parents. From now on, I'll be spending a happy life together.